our man. Yeah, no, that's not gonna work. Oh, what can we do? Hard and heavy. No, no, no! If somebody would have told me 6 or 7 years ago that metal would be this big and that Metal Blade would be this big, I would have laughed and said, there's no way that's going to happen. You could go to the Troubadour, a local LA club, and for $1 you could walk in and see Motley Crue and Rat playing. And so I used to go see all these bands, and it turned out, yeah, there was a bunch of good bands in LA. And at the time, the major labels they could care less about metal. So I always felt it was really terrible that none of these bands were ever going to get heard. They just play these clubs for a while and then they'd probably go away, just because at that time disco and new wave was really big. So working at the store, I knew a lot of the independent distributors, and I called them up and I said, hey, if I put together a compilation album of a bunch of LA metal bands, would you guys sell it? And they all said, sure. A really good friend of mine, Lars Ulrich, had this band, and he called me up one day and said, hey, you're putting out this record. If I put together a band and give you a tape, will you put us on the album? I said, sure. And of course, that turned out to be Metallica. One of the first EPs we did was Armored Saints EP, and they were like one of the big bands around LA. And when we put out their EP, about 3 or 4 months later, they got signed to Chrysalis. And all of a sudden, people were looking at us like, oh, wow, they have, the Metal Massacre. And by that time, Metallica was starting to happen, and people knew about Rat. And then when the Armored Saint EP got picked up by Chrysalis, the sales started to really get big, and it was turning into something a little bit more serious than what it was before.
Maybe I should have came out on Metal Blade. Sorry, Chrysalis, but can you say? Chrysalis is a great record label. The only problem is that they just were naive back then about heavy rock. And, with us, they were always just scratching their heads like, what do we do with these guys? This is Metal Blades. This is their baby. They know what to do with this kind of music.
We tended to keep it, and we want to keep it in the future, kind of a street thing. We don't want to go out and sign, quote-unquote, corporate metal bands, because I've never really been into that. We want to sign, bands are on the street, in the clubs, slogging it out, and stuff like that.
Music is always the first thing that will catch us when we're out seeing a band. The songs have got to move you, the music's got to move you. Then you want to make sure that the band is a killer live band, especially with a metal band. An audience wants that one-to-one with their artist. They don't want to just see them on MTV, which is a great medium by which to get a band's promotional avenue going through, and Hard and Heavy, which is a great avenue for them to check into their favorite metal people. But they want to go out there and see them in the clubs. They want to see them in the arenas. They want to buy the T-shirt. They want to see their artists. They want to see them kick ass on stage. At the end of the day, they want to walk out and go, that band was an incredible live band.
D.R.I, Slayer, Fate's Warning, Lizzie Borden, those have probably been the big four of stuff that we've kept that has done really well.
I think the music that we play, more so now actually than back then, was a little bit more obscure for a major label. We needed something where we get a lot more personal attention, and someone that wasn't going to try to package us as something that we're not. Pretty much let the band do what they want on their own, which is what Brian and Metal Blade does. We get to pretty much have control over what we do and do it the way we want to do it.
The biggest thing that we got coming out right now is GWAR.
Your face is gross, you eat white toast, you don't know what to do. And just your luck, you really suck, and so I'm sick of you. Say, I'm so sick, so rid of you. Say, I'm so sick, so rid of you. Bring it down. I said bring it down.
There shouldn't be the stigma that, oh, it's an alternative band, I'm not going to listen to it. Well, the band has something to offer, and everybody should look at it on that level. They shouldn't close their minds to the fact that, oh, it's an alternative band with an edge, but, you know, it's alternative and they're playing it, and I shouldn't get involved with it. If that was the case, we wouldn't have the current breakthrough of A Faith No More. We wouldn't have a current breakthrough of Soundgarden. You wouldn't have Jane's Addiction, who will be busting through on their next record. You wouldn't have those bands in that position, and those are the bands of the 90s. Those barriers are coming down.
That things you said, and all the things you do. Don't you know that I'm sick of you? The other things you say and the things you do. Said, don't you know I'm so sick of you? The other things you say and everything that you do. Say, I'm so sick of you. I'm so sick of you. I'm sick of you. Say, I'm so sick of you.
What we do and what we do best is we build a band from 0 units to 100,000 units. And you really need the big, you know, button pushing of the major label to get it to the next level. So, and we realize that, and now that we are at Warner Brothers, we feel that now we can go in and sign bands for the long term and know we're not going to lose them a couple years down the line. We have another band that is going to be the first act that the Warner staff is really going to help us on, a band called Nevada Beach, this like dirty bar band that we signed from New Hampshire, who was really fun.
We had to have the band. We heard the tape, never saw a photo on the band. Brian got the tape, played it in here, ran into my office. He goes, listen to the first song. We go, we got to have this band. Just had to have them. Got on the phone, got on with their lawyer, found out where we could go see the band, flew and saw the band, and we finished off the deal probably within 3 weeks of seeing the group.
Get ready, here it comes. Are you aimed on a dangerous gun? Blood red, colored sky. Rip out your lungs with a blink of an eye. We've been waiting.
I still am, and was definitely then just a music fan. And it's fun to put out music that you like, you know, and have other people hear it who normally wouldn't have heard it.
Waiting for an angel. Burned up by the sun. Waiting for an angel.
Brian based this label, and I believe in this, that the artist has to have control over his music and control on how they want to be perceived by their audience and by the general public. And if you don't let an artist do that, sometimes they become a manufactured entity, and the audience will find that out. Those kids are smart out there. As much as people want to think that they're not, they're very smart kids. They know what they like and they know what they dislike, and they can smell if you're trying to pawn something off on them.